Niners falling 30-23 in week 13. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker to take you through it on this Rapid React post-game live episode of Locked On 49ers right now.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked On 49ers, a rough one, a heartbreaker. The Niners lose to the Seattle Seahawks. Niners fall back to 6-6 now on the season, back to 500, still in the playoff hunt, but this was a tough loss at the hand of those Seattle Seahawks, 30-23. We'll go through all of our takeaways from this game, some key plays, give out some game balls as we do of these rapid react episodes. But Croc, just big picture here. Really deflating loss, right? The Jimmy Garoppolo pass, fourth down and goal, getting batted down by Carlos Dunlap, falling incomplete, and that was it. The Niners were not able to push the Seahawks into overtime. We're not able to get this win and keep the hot streak rolling, and now have a lot of work to do to continue that march toward the playoffs.
That was a tough one. And, I think we knew heading into really any game, the 49ers really don't have the team to kind of overcome big-time mistakes. And I thought throughout this game, they just tried to give the game away. And crazy thing, the Seahawks, they tried to give the game back to the 49ers multiple times. But it was just a little bit too much for the 49ers to overcome. And, it came down to the end. They had an opportunity to win it, but just came up just a little short.
Yeah, they couldn't make a play when they needed to at the end of the game. There was a number of plays being made throughout, each team seemingly trying to give the opponent an opportunity to win the game. I mean, this game was bananas. It was wild from start to finish. It started in the very first play, and I see everybody jumping in already and in the chat. I know some folks are fired up. Stick around after we're done with the regular portion of the podcast. We're going to continue the live stream a little bit longer, so thanks everybody for tuning in to the YouTube live. And if you're just listening on your drive to work Monday morning to this, we do have a YouTube channel, so go check that out as well and subscribe. And everybody that's already with us, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you do know when we're going live and you catch us every day that we do this. Thank you all of you for making us your first listen every day here on Locked On 49ers. Good news with Trenton Cannon so far. It's not they're looking more at a concussion, it sounds like, than a neck injury for him. And man, just what a terrible way to start the game with that injury and seeing an ambulance come onto the field. That is never good. So thoughts out there with Trenton Cannon, and as of now, at least good news that it's not, a severe broken neck or, some of the worst things you could think of when he's down on the field and they bring the ambulance on, and he's going to stay overnight in the hospital. So hoping he has a full recovery there. But I guess, as bad as that could have been, I guess somewhat of good news there on Cannon's injury. And then the 49ers come out and still had a little bit of juice, even though, that's something that could really deflate the Niners from the start. Just take the wind out of your sails right away. See one of your players go off in an ambulance, and then you get a quick 3-and-out, except it's not a 3-and-out because the Seahawks go with the little trickery and the fake punt. Now all of a sudden the 49ers are in a 7-0 hole, and the game just got even weirder from there. I mean, this game was absolutely nuts, and
it should have been on Sunday Night Football, right?
It should have been. That should have been a prime timer.
When they pulled that game, when they flexed the 49ers out of that spot, it was just weird because regardless of records, like when the 49ers and Seahawks are playing against each other, throw the records out the window. That stuff doesn't matter anymore. Like, it's going to be a heavyweight fight. And I thought in this game, that's what you want to see in a big game, right? Just big plays, whether it's for you, whether it's against you. I'm talking about just a casual fan watching, maybe has no rooting interest in either team. That was a fun game to watch. Now, it wasn't fun for 49ers or probably even for Seahawks fans with how the game started for them, but there was a lot of back and forth early on that made it definitely an intriguing matchup. Even the announcers, the guys calling the game, Kevin Harlan and whoever else was there, they were like, man, what is going on in this game? I think we were all on our couches thinking the same thing.
Yeah, Kevin Harlan's really good. I love games that the Kevin Harlan.
He was he was good, but like super annoying when you're down. When your favorite team is down, I mean, it was I'm used to hearing him. He calls basketball games, right?
He does all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm used to hearing him call basketball games. So I felt like every time somebody ran the ball, it was like somebody like shooting a 3-pointer. Oh my goodness, and the three, and it clanks off the backboard. Like it was like, okay, I get it. Like, okay, there's a lot of back and forth. Settle down just a little bit.
Oh, that's funny. Just really quick, playoff picture wise, Niners still, as of after losing that game before the prime timers here, 7th seed. So now tied with Washington. Washington would have the tiebreaker because their winning percentage in conference games. And that was tough because now you lose a tiebreaker there in your winning percentage against conference games, losing to the Seattle Seahawks. For the playoff stuff, it would have been better for the 49ers to lose to, say, the Bengals or the Titans rather than the NFC teams on their schedule, because that conference win percentage is one of the tiebreakers. Washington, who did win, it's looking like Washington actually is one of the few teams that wants to make the playoffs in the NFC. The Vikings lost, the Panthers lost, the Falcons lost, the Saints lost. Those teams are closer to being top 10 or picking in the top 10 of the NFL draft. Some of them are closer to that than closer to the playoffs right now. The Eagles at 6 and 7 are right behind the 49ers at the 8th seed. But the Niners got to prove that they're going to be able to win some games and stay above 500, or we can't talk about the 6th seed or the 7th seed. So that I see a lot of people in the mentions talking about Trey Lance. Where was he? You're not going to use him, at least on the zone read there, when you're trying to get that, 3rd and 1. They tried with Garoppolo to get that 1 yard and went zone read with him. That did not work at all. Some people are clamoring for Trey Lance to start next week, and that's just kind of how this thing goes. When you have a rookie quarterback, you drafted number 3, your quarterback has a bad game, there's going to be another wave of that. I do not think that's going to happen, but we do have to talk about the game that Jimmy Garoppolo had here. 20 of 30 passing, 299 yards, make some big plays, but bad Jimmy showed up too many times with those 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in this game. What was your thoughts about the game that Jimmy Garoppolo played, Croc?
Yeah, early on, right away, you could tell it's like, all right, Jimmy, you need to settle down just a little bit. A lot of high throws out the gate, but it's weird. And maybe because it was, I don't know, but I never felt like the 49ers were out of it with Jimmy. I was always confident that he would somehow lead the 49ers to victory. So as bad as it was, and we saw the overthrows and we saw those things, I still felt like he gave us the best chance to win that game. So when the 49ers were marching down, late in the 4th quarter, to potentially tie the game up, I was never worried. Like, I felt like, okay, this is Jimmy. And again, tough thing with Jimmy Garoppolo, you are going to get some of the bad, but you're also going to get some of the good. And the good, at the very least, put the 49ers in position to potentially win the game. But yeah, the overthrows, the digs, I tweeted out. I said, man, Jimmy Garoppolo throws the digs so much you would think he's in a 49er uniform, right? I mean, he picked Jimmy G off. Maybe he picked him off early in the year. Diggs on the crosser, he picked that off. He picked him off in that one where he threw 2 interceptions against Seattle on Monday Night Football. What was that, 2019, I believe it was? So, he's always around the ball when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo throwing interceptions, and he got him again. Just obviously way too much up and down, but that's Jimmy G.
Yep. Where was Jimmy going on that second interception? That was kind of deep down the middle, because it looked like he was trying to fit it into a double covered George Kittle. That was an odd one. That one was
he was throwing it. He was throwing it to Kittle. He actually had Trent Sherfield. Like, if he would just threw it to that open space, that's a big catch and run, maybe a touchdown opportunity. I'm not sure if the safety was sitting because he saw Jimmy throw the ball, or if he was sitting and Jimmy could have threw it out there and led Trent Sherfield, and it would have been a touchdown. So he was trying to fit it over the middle to George Kittle, and he just missed high, as he did with several passes in this game.
And I think he probably expected that middle of the field safety was going to go with Sherfield, who came across on like a post or whatever he was running there. And so maybe he anticipated it and then just didn't move off when it didn't happen. But that was bad. And the turnovers. And it was, I think this is the first week, Croc, in our keys to victory, we didn't talk about turnovers very much. And we should have, because it's always such a big factor in NFL games. And it came up big in this one. Too many turnovers, letting the Seahawks stay in it. early in the game when the Niners were up, 10 points or 9 points after the missed extra point from Robbie Gould, they should have just been on the accelerator and ran away from the Seahawks. So it's a huge loss because that's the way this game should have gone. And they let the Seahawks stick around and then gave the game away to the Seahawks in the end.
You have a lot of people in the comments, and you mentioned it earlier, talking about, Trey Lance and, Trey Lance, where is he at? I do see one comment from our guy, SF49or, 49or, that's how it's spelled. It says Trey should have started from week 1. He says, how much worse would the 49ers have been than 6-6 with Trey Lance? And I think that was right now it's easier to say that in hindsight. I think, heading into the season, you expect with Jimmy Garoppolo, okay, this is a team that's going to start off well. And I think at this point you think, maybe 3, maybe 4 losses, but you definitely don't expect a Jimmy G-led team to be 6-6 at this point in the season. So it's easier to say that now, and now you're just kind of in this and you have to kind of stick with it. But I agree. And for that reason, I would have went with Jimmy Garoppolo, and this is not a hindsight thing. I would have went with Trey Lance from the jump because of situations like this. And you just want your young guy play, stick it through. And I felt like the 49ers want to be that Super Bowl team, right? That very dangerous team. You will be better with Trey Lance getting as close to his ceiling as possible than with Jimmy Garoppolo, because you do need a lot of things to go Jimmy Garoppolo's way to have a good season. And right now, when things start getting a little weird, he's going to be the first person that people point the finger at.
Okay, more on that. Jimmy G, the quarterback situation, his weapons on offense, who showed up, who didn't for the 49ers, and the defensive side of the ball, and, of course, some game balls, as we always do on our Rapid React podcasts. But first, I want to let the listeners out there know about DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live. You got another device that you're watching highlights on. Maybe you've got your phone, you're watching highlights, but you're trying to tweet about the game, and everything's just all convoluted when you're trying to watch football on Sunday. You've got a million devices and a million different passwords, and you've got your sister's brother's password and your cousin's password for this other thing. You can get your TV together and end all that stuff with DirecTV Stream. I want to let you know this simpler way to do it. It's without the hassle, and you can finally get that TV together at home, and it's called DirecTV Stream. Brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes. No need to buy another device again ever. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion. Get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. All right, Croc. So to end this conversation about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I know we're going to stick around here after and get into the comments and the chat a little bit here. And throughout the week, this will come up. But you don't make a change midstream here, right? If you're the 49ers, like Jimmy Garoppolo's the guy they chose. They want to win with Jimmy this year. It's going to be Jimmy. And if anything, to me, the thing the Niners aren't doing that Kyle Shanahan has given up on is packages for Trey Lance that I think could help you situationally. That's where they're missing the boat on not having Trey Lance in there. I would be shocked if they went to Trey Lance after this, even with Garoppolo and bad Jimmy kind of showing up a little bit too often.
Yeah, I don't see Kyle Shanahan making a change. I mean,
Yeah,
at this point, again, you got to just, as the young guys say, and I see this on social media, got to see it through, my boy. He got to see it through. Got to see the situation through. It's you made the decision to stick with Jimmy Garoppolo, and right now, Jimmy had played well leading up into this game. So I think that's the one thing, right? I think everybody's going to look at this game and they're going to say, Jimmy Garoppolo, like, you can't win with him. And it's like, over the last, previous 3 games, he played well enough to get you victories and wasn't making mistakes. Even the game before that, I believe it was, what was it? The Bears game, early on, where he had an explosive game passing in that game, as well as the Cardinals game. I thought he did well. And I even said, like, I don't think Jimmy was the reason 49ers lost that game. So, everybody's going to look at this game and kind of isolate it as this is what Jimmy is. But again, he's been better. So quarterbacks have bad games. They have bad games. I know everybody wants to go to Trey Lance and everything like that. And I always tell people, go watch other teams and understand everything had been pretty much perfect over the last few weeks of the 49ers. And this game, it just wasn't. But I saw Tom Brady throw a pick six and stuff earlier today. Like, it happens with him too. Matter of fact, they said there's like 5 straight games Tom Brady has thrown a pick. Now, I'm not comparing Tom Brady to Jimmy G, but I'm just talking about it in the sense of like things like weird things happen. Quarterbacks have bad moments. I'm not going to hang Jimmy Garoppolo for having a bad game when he had played well for the last month.
We do have to get on to some other subjects here, but the one thing I will say, and this is the big frustration with Jimmy Garoppolo, and this is why the folks that want to go to Trey Lance, is just because with Jimmy, if he's not super efficient and he's making bad plays and creating turnovers, he doesn't have the big plays that he creates either with his legs or with his arm to make up for that. And I think that's the frustrating part with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's got to be really clean. And for the most part, it is a lot of times, and they win a lot of games with Jimmy Garoppolo. But when the run game's not there and you really need a player to make some plays, Jimmy G's not really that guy either. You know,
and we know that.
But we already
and I see a lot of people like, oh, well, he's average. You know, he's this and that. And it's like, we know, we've been on that. Like, we know that about Jimmy Garoppolo. But it doesn't change the fact that he still can play at a good level, even if, you know, they won most of the last few games because they ran the ball 40 times, whatever. In those games, the reason why they were able to run 40 times is because he made enough plays and throws on third down. So, you know, you hope you can get back to that against the Bengals. But yeah, I get it. It's not the sexy thing. And you would like to see Trey Lance in there, but I just don't think this is the time, as much as I would love to see it.
Elijah Mitchell is one tough son of a gun. 22 carries for 66 yards, running hard, even with the Seahawks defense keying on the run. And he did have the touchdown run there, got hurt, came back in the game, fighting through it. I love seeing that from him. By the way, I don't see Jeff Wilson in the stat sheet. Did they call that run back that he made? Because I think he got on the field for one play, then Elijah Mitchell came back.
Yeah, they called holding on like the right tackle or right guard or somebody.
Okay. Oh, speaking of right tackle, that safety, Compton got just destroyed by Carlos Dunlap on that safety. Like, that can't happen in the end zone. You can't be an offensive lineman who's on his back in your end zone, right? Like, that is the worst thing you could possibly be as an offensive lineman, is getting completely bull rushed right through your chest and in your own end zone to boot. For the most part, the offensive line played pretty well, though, I thought. But, man, Tom Compton, that was a huge play in that game, too, with that safety. Here's some good news. George Kittle, 9 catches, 181 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was awesome. The toe tapper on the sideline, catch and run. He was running over dudes. It was really nice to see that George Kittle back, getting him 12 targets, 9 catches for 181. Like that, even with Deebo in there, I feel like George Kittle's got to be a bigger part of the passing game.
Yeah, I mean, you see how much how explosive he is, and really having a game like he did the previous week, 1 catch for like 12 yards or whatever it was on the screen. Like, it's unacceptable. Your offense is just much more explosive when you have him involved and you make him a big focal point of your offense. You're better. I mean, the chunk plays, the explosive plays, the attitude, and what he does to a defense and how you have to respect him. Like, I don't see how he's not consistently a big part of it. And again, have him and Deebo be a part of it. But you got to make sure that Kittle, who shows like, you guys have been talking about Deebo Samuel. I'm the best player on this offense. I think today he showed that he can be that. Now Kyle Shanahan, let's be consistent with that.
Do you blame Jimmy on the incomplete pass to Kyle Juszczyk? I feel like Jimmy and Kyle Juszczyk have done this a few times where Juice will turn his body in an awkward way and he's kind of backpedaling. I would put that a little bit more on Juice. I thought Jimmy put it out there, and I guess you can't put it out there as far for a fullback as you can a wide receiver or someone like George Kittle, but I thought maybe Juice could have done a better job tracking that ball and pulled that one in for Jimmy.
I get what you're saying, and I could think of one in my head where he's kind of backpedaling and jumps up, but I thought that one, Jimmy just overshot him. Like, he's wide open. that's kind of a layup, and you can't miss the layup throws. I was listening
Mhm.
to Kurt Warner kind of critique Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's like, some of these throws, like, you can't miss that. You're a starting level NFL quarterback. You've been in the league. You're a veteran. You can't miss these layup throws when you have those. And that one back shoulder throw, I want to say it was on the last drive where he threw a back shoulder. That was a beautiful throw. That was great. Now, can you just you made that difficult throw? Make the easy throw with nobody around Kyle Juszczyk. So yeah, I put that more on Jimmy Garoppolo because it doesn't have to be a dive. You just have to get it to a guy that's wide open.
Brandon Aiyuk, he had a drop.
2 drops.
Yeah, 2 drops. That slant that DJ Reed broke up, I thought that was a pretty garbage route by Aiyuk. Needed Aiyuk and Kittle to step up in this game, make big plays. Kittle did. I felt like Aiyuk didn't rise to the occasion. He did make a couple of plays. He had a 21-yarder. He had a catch on that last drive. 3 catches for 55 yards total. Are you as let down by the Aiyuk performance as I am after this one?
Yeah, because some of those plays, like, dude, you got to make that third down drop where he had the ball, then it popped out when he hit the ground. I understand, like, those are difficult. That's essentially what happened to Kyle Juszczyk too, right? Kyle Juszczyk made like this acrobatic catch, hit the ground, ball popped out. Same thing happened to Brandon Aiyuk, but if you're the guy, right, you're the first round pick, you got to make that catch. And it is disappointing to see plays like that happen. And I do feel like he can win a little bit more consistently. Now, a couple of those catches is like, well, nobody's guarding you. You're just wide open, right? Where he ran that bench route late in the game into the open area. Also, that pass that was like over the middle, settled down in the zone, wide open in the open area. But when we need you to win, which he did late on the slant route, do that consistently because that's what they brought you in to be.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, look at all these people jumping in here on the live show too. Love seeing that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, folks. Thanks for jumping in on this Locked On 49ers post-game live rapid react episode. We're going to get to a ton more stuff and some game balls, and stick around after the regular pod is done. We're going to jump into the chat as well and keep this thing going a little bit. I think some of the listeners out there and some of the viewers on YouTube might want a little bit of a therapy session. We can kind of wrap that in together because I know a lot of folks are extremely frustrated out there right now after this 30-23 loss at the hand of those Seattle Seahawks. I want to talk about the defensive side of the ball, Croc, DBs, Emmanuel Mosley injury, the defensive line, give out those game balls next. This holiday season, grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar. If you've had the Built Bars, you know what I'm talking about. Built Bars are amazing, filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in 100% real and delicious chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, low in sugar, low in net carbs, and low in fat, but high in protein. Keeps you satisfied. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. I skip breakfast a lot. Love to go to the Built Bar to get me to lunch. You could do post or pre-workout with your Built Bar. Put it in your golf bag. Put it in your purse. Have one handy because you never know when you're going to need that Built Bar. And they're so delicious with so many flavors, some new holiday flavors as well. There is, how about this one? You want to cozy up with something warm. Here's a holiday secret. Dip your Built Bar into a piping hot cup of cocoa and let it melt a little bit. Give your beverage a little bit of that Built Bar flavor. Plus, you'll have a nice melty Built Bar to go with it. Be sure to have a couple napkins on hand if that's the way you are going to do it. What's your favorite flavor? If you're not sure, you can get a mixed box of Built Bars as well. Just go to built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. That is promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Croc, I think we nailed the line on this one. We said that we thought the 49ers were going to pull this out. They didn't, but the money side of things with the line, maybe smart to bet on the Seahawks as it comes to putting your money on it. And that was the winning side of this bet, unfortunately, for those 49ers fans that are tuned in and watching this. And you can get those odds and make those bets and find all the props and lines and as much and more than ever before as football season continues to march toward the playoffs at Built at betonline.ag. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head over to the new updated desktop or mobile website and sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code Locked On to receive that bonus. Not only football, you got pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. So don't wait. Take advantage of all the amazing offers for this 2021 season and some of those futures in 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, defensive side of the football. Croc.
Yeah.
What'd you think about Demo coming in to replace the injured Emmanuel Mosley? And then you had Dante Johnson come in and replace Demo after he got beat a couple of times. So what was your thoughts about that? The 49ers secondary. I really got a good chuckle out of Josh Norman getting toasted by DK Metcalf, but Russell Wilson threw it out of bounds, and then he's just like, flexing, talking to the camera. I always love that from defensive backs. No matter if they did it or not, they're going to take full credit for any incompletion.
100%. The position is so hard to play. You got to take any win, even if it wasn't necessarily a win for you. And I think overall 49ers secondary had a rough game. It was bad. It was terrible. Like, there's no defending that. And I had a lot of people in my mentions, how's Croc going to defend Josh Norman now? Like, no, he had a bad game. He had a bad game. And, kind of like I said about Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm not going to kill Jimmy Garoppolo for, one bad game over the last month where, it was a game, man, not as efficient as he'd been, a little more off target, threw a couple of interceptions. I thought the same could be said for the secondary, where this was probably their poorest outcome, and with how they played it. Even then, statistically, it wasn't terrible, but the results obviously weren't in their favor. I thought this was as bad as they played. So I know who Josh Norman is. I don't look at Josh Norman as like a shutdown corner. I think he's somebody that's serviceable, considering you are now down to your starting cornerbacks and you have somebody come in off the street. Ideally, you don't want Josh Norman to have to be in there. He is in there, and it wasn't pretty today. Same with Diamado Lenoir. Now, that's somebody that a lot of people have been screaming he should be playing over Josh Norman. He comes in, gets toasted right away, and Kyle Shanahan says, nope, let me take you out. Or not Kyle, but D'Amico Ryan, whoever pulled him out. Now, I do think on some of those, I'll tell you, the guys did play poorly, but that one pass that Josh Norman gave up the touchdown to Tyler Lockett, that was a good throw. That was a good throw. Like, I'll give you guys whatever else. Some of the comebacks, I thought Josh Norman could have challenged himself a little bit more. But that one, that was a little tough. And then Diamado Lenoir, he got beat on the touchdown by Eskridge, where, yeah, you are in the zone, but bro, like, everybody knows in zones, you read your keys, right? So I don't know exactly where Eskridge lined up, but let's say Eskridge lined up at the one spot, right? If two goes away right now you can squeeze one. One essentially turns into man-to-man because there's nobody else to threaten your zone. So don't just keep sagging off and play off when you have a guy sitting in the area and you can squeeze that and attach to him. Well, Lenoir sat off, ended up giving up that touchdown. Definitely not ideal. Lenoir is going to have a lot of learning lessons with how exactly they want him to play. Unfortunately, right now, it potentially cost the 49er a game. Not saying it was just that, but just in general.
And overall, Russ wasn't really on point, but it was sort of, they made enough plays and they had enough opportunities. The Niners gave them the ball enough times, and then it was sort of backbreaking on a few plays, like the touchdown to Tyler Lockett. And he ended up with 7 catches, 68, and a touchdown. Russell Wilson only threw for 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So overall, when you look at the stats, it's not that impressive, but I felt like, yeah, that secondary got beat too much. DK Metcalf had 5 catches for 60 yards. Eskridge had 3 catches, his first career touchdown. Rookie crime there on Demo. Penny had a catch. Swain had 3 catches. Homer had 4 catches. Disley had 2 catches. Everett, trying to give the game away multiple times there, had 4 catches. And man, he would have been the huge goat in this game if it wasn't for the Seahawks coming away with the victory.
There are a couple of things too I kind of wanted to talk about, and it's crazy because you would think that with how the 49ers secondary got beat, that you threw for 400 some yards, and that happens, right? So like, we look at it and we're getting on the 49ers DBs for just this bad game against the Seattle Seahawks. You look around the league and they gave up 230 yards. Around the league, there's teams, quarterbacks throwing for 400, 450 yards. You know what I'm saying? One thing that was interesting though to me was, the fact that Seattle, as soon as they have the reserves in, they say, you know what, we're going to take advantage of these guys. We're going to target them. We're going to target Lenoir, right? He's a rookie. He doesn't belong in here. He can't cover our guys. Kyle Shanahan, I can't even tell you who the Seahawks starting cornerbacks are because I felt like we didn't even attack him. DJ Reed, I know that because I saw him late in the game. But it's like, who's starting on the other side? We don't even know because we don't even attack those guys. So, I think Kyle Shanahan could take a page out of Seattle's book and say, hey, we see a weakness. Let's go ahead and target these cornerbacks over and over until they make a play. And that was what Seattle did when it came to Deommodore Lenoir.
Sidney Jones on the other side.
Sidney Jones.
The refs.
I heard his name one time because he had a tackle like in the backfield or something.
That play in the fourth quarter too, in the back of the end zone. I mean, that gets flagged if it's not end of game situation where refs tighten up.
A lot of fans had a question about that, and I didn't know
if he's all over him. I mean, you can't be bear hugging a wide receiver while the ball's in the air. I mean, it's clear as day. So, and the receiver's trying to push off a little bit, and there's some jostling there too. But yeah, it's something that and I'm not against them having a no call there, but they're so ticky-tack most of the time with pass interferences. And then there's one that's pretty obvious in the end zone that could be the difference in the game, and they're not willing to throw a flag in that situation. So I do hate that. But you're right. I mean, it's well said. I thought there was going to be a ton more passing yards total than it was when I looked at the box score after the game. It was only 231 passing yards for Russell Wilson. He didn't have a great game. And part of the reason why, and actually let's start there with the game balls because we got to wrap this portion of the show up really quickly here. I think the defensive line, the entire defensive line deserves game balls. Bosa and Armstead. DJ Jones was all over the place. Multiple tackles for loss. He was crushing them inside. The Niners defensive line was dominating the Seattle Seahawks offensive line. Arden Key had a half a sack along with Al-Shaair. Al-Shaair was awesome in this game, I thought. 16 total tackles. Almost had that Superman interception which would have been amazing. And it seemed like the balls were just sort of, there was the juice catch, the Aiyuk and the Al-Shaair. It was like they just couldn't make that one play that might have put them over the top. But the defensive line was awesome. And I think that's part of the reason why, and that's definitely the reason why, with how many chances and how many times the Niners gave the ball back to the Seahawks, that they didn't put up more yards and they didn't score more points, was because of that defensive line. So absolutely the 49ers, just the entire defensive line, there were so many guys involved, and 4 sacks in this game. So yeah, they all get a game ball for me.
Yeah, I mean, and 4 sacks, and a really big time stop. The defensive line was a part of it late in the game. Obviously, you had the forced fumble. I believe it was Al-Shaair that punched it out, and gave the 49ers the opportunity to go down and tie the game up. Defense, they were very opportunistic, forced 3 takeaways. Now, again, one of those, Jared Everett was a part of 2 of those. I'm like, is Everett point shaving a little bit? Does he want me to win my bet?
Yeah, it seemed like it a little bit. He's kicking the ball up in the air in the end zone for an interception and then fumbles on another goal line. So yeah, that's a bad look for Gerald Everett.
But I want to give a game ball to Jimmy Garoppolo. And I know people are really hard on him. And again, part of the reason why the 49ers were down were because of him. But I do kudos to him for, at the very least late in the game, driving down 97 yards or whatever it had to be to give the 49ers an opportunity to win. And again, I'm one of those people, regardless of whatever went down in this game, we got to put that behind us. We got an opportunity to win this game right now. And he drove the ball down. He marched the 49ers team down there and gave the 49ers an opportunity to potentially win. So I get it. All the bad stuff, again, I'm one of those. I know bad stuff is going to happen in games. Every game is not going to go according to plan exactly how you want. You got to put that behind you. I thought he did a good job of that and potentially putting the 49ers in position to win the game.
To me, the 49ers lost this game not because of Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to have the most fingers pointed at him, not because of the 49ers defensive backs, but Tom Compton just getting destroyed in the end zone for a safety. No time for Jimmy Garoppolo to throw the ball away or anything like that. Like, that play was destroyed. The safety and the special teams touchdown, the fake punt, that's 9 points. Niners lost by 7. That's 9 free points that the Seattle Seahawks got right there. And that just can't happen. So it was just a really weird game like that. All the turnovers, all of the game-changing plays, and there was multiple, and there's some that we haven't even talked about because I'm forgetting them, and I'm sure we'll be reminded about it in the chat, but those 9 free points, that can't happen. I mean, the Seahawks offense only scored 21 points, on their own. So that's the game. That's the game right there.
I think a lot of people will point at the officials, and I see that a lot in the chat. A lot of people talking about the officials. They were bad. And I agree, but at the end of the day, you can't help them. And I thought 49ers didn't do themselves any, justice, throwing multiple interceptions, fumbling on the opening kickoff of, the second half, letting a fake punt go 75 yards, touchdown. Like, you have the safety. So, yeah, the 49, the refs didn't help in this game, but I don't think the refs were the reason. I thought the 49ers were the reasons. They beat themselves with a lot of the unforced errors, or I guess they were forced, but a lot of the shooting themselves.
Yeah, shooting themselves in the foot. There was a lot of that going on in this game. All right, for those of you who are listening on the audio podcast, this is it for this Rapid React episode. For those of you on YouTube, stick around. We're going to get into the chat and keep this thing going a little bit more. As always, thank you so much for joining Croc and I every day, making us your first listen right here on Locked On 49ers. All right, my first question for those of you that are sticking around with us on YouTube, we're going to take this for a little while. Croc giving a game ball to Jimmy G, and I gotta believe there's some folks out here that are going to disagree with that quite a bit. I was a little surprised.
I see it.
That, but I liked your reasoning for it, Croc. And so, what do you guys think? Here we go. I knew it was coming. Crocky, are you a Jimmy Garoppolo apologist now to go along with being a Josh Norman apologist?
No, I think I just see things for what they are. Listen, I know what Jimmy Garoppolo is and what he isn't. And so like in my head, like I don't expect this guy to go above and beyond and be this just great quarterback. No, like he's up and down. He's efficient. He's going to have bad interceptions. There's going to be times where he doesn't see linebackers. Like I just know who he is. So when I see, despite all of that, 49ers, he put it behind him. And I think that's big. That's one of the biggest things for a cornerback, right? When you're a cornerback, they say you have to have a short-term memory. You can get beat 3 times, but there's an opportunity for you to be a hero. And I thought Jimmy Garoppolo, like there was an opportunity for him to be a hero, and he came up just short. But I like how he put the bad behind him. Again, I'm not letting him off the hook. I've said it the whole time. I would have started Trey Lance the whole time. I would have let Jimmy Garoppolo go. If it was up to Eric Crocker, Jimmy Garoppolo would not be on the team. But we're here now, and you got to, take it for what it is. And I see what he is and what he isn't. So, no, I'm not a Jimmy G apologist or anything like that. Like, I could care less. I just look at the game for like, okay, I know who Jimmy is. I know he's going to throw some messed up passes here. Like, that's just him. He's shown us who he is. But you can't do anything about it right now.
Dustin says that this is his last listen to the podcast because you gave a game ball to Jimmy Garoppolo. Here's Cade. So why can't you blame the refs? Like here's the thing I'll say about blaming the refs. Remember how bad of it was just 1 week ago when Mike Zimmer went into his press conference and complained about the refs and complained about holding after the game, and we made fun of him for it, and it was a bad look. You don't want to be that guy. That's why you don't complain about the refs, because you can always complain about the refs. You gotta blame the team first. Go win a football game. Don't make it close enough to where one call could turn the game one way or the other. Do you agree with that, Croc?
I was reading the comments. I didn't even. Okay. What exactly did you say?
I know it's
about the refs. I know it's about the
refs. He says you're not being a crybaby if it's true, if the refs were just bad.
Well, but I feel like there's in every game you could say like, well, we're screwed on this. Now again, I do feel like the calls at that time favored the Seahawks. But I don't know if you guys have ever reffed. One time there was like this it was like a charity basketball tournament or whatever, and I was a referee in the tournament. That stuff is hard. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it moves at warp speed. It moves way faster. So a lot of times we can see something and it's like, do I call it? Like, do I not call? Like, it's tough. So yeah, at the end of the day, the calls didn't go to 49ers way. I agree with that. I agree that the 49ers definitely did not help the 49ers. But I also say that the 49ers did a lot of things to not help themselves.
How about the linebackers? I thought the linebackers did more than admirable job filling in with someone like as important as Fred Warner being out. Alshire was awesome. I even thought Flanagan Fowles played pretty. Fowles is there? I think it's Fowles is how you're supposed to say it. I always called him Flanagan Fowles, but I think it's supposed to be Flanagan Fowles. I thought he played all right. I thought the 49ers, Nickelbacks and those extra guys that were on the field, whether it be Hufanga or Tart or K'Wan Williams, I thought they all played pretty well too. So I think the 49ers did mask losing numerous linebackers and especially Fred Warner. I thought the 49ers did all right in that regard. It's not like there was one 73-yard run. Other than that, the Seahawks had 26 carries for 73 yards. That was half of their output was the one run from Travis Homer.
Yep, fake punt.
It was a fake punt. So Niners.
Big issue, 49ers, and I think we haven't it's really weird how the game plan played out, but 0 points in the second half. Like, what the hell is that? And I mean, it's just how things, I mean, again, you come out, the fumble by Travis Benjamin, and then you're backed up and you get the safety, and then they just struggled. They couldn't even get past midfield in the second half. That's wild. That was wild.
Joe is blaming special teams and special teams. He's coming for Richard Hightower and the special teams coordinator. How much blame do you put on? That's another thing. Aiyuk. I didn't really like Aiyuk's attempts. He was the last guy there playing free safety on that fake punt. I don't know.
He's not used to being in the open field trying to make tackles.
Right. Yeah. That's, I guess. He played defensive back though at JUCO, right? So he'd be better than that. That was a piss poor.
That's tough. You got 3 guys running at you, and you're the last line of defense, and it's like, okay, which way do I go? I think no matter where he went, he was wrong.
Special teams absolutely let the 49ers down. Not only the fake punt, there was a missed field goal. There was a fumbled return. Like it was bad. It was terrible. Special teams were awful for the 49ers tonight.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate. You look at the Travis Benjamin situation, and he's not supposed to be in there, right? He's supposed to be Trenton Cannon. Now we've seen him mess up on special teams as well. So I guess if you see certain things like this, which tends to be a theme against the Seahawks, maybe it is the special teams coordinator that he's responsible for all that. At some point, head's got to roll regardless.
Yeah, you got to do something. Alshire keeps the job when Greenlaw comes back. I mean, yeah, in base they can all three of those linebackers can be on the field, but I'm definitely taking Alshire. I think he's been outplaying Dre Greenlaw for a long time.
Yeah, he's been doing really good. Love how he plays, the physicality. Obviously, I'm big on forced takeaways, right? Like, certain things that happened. I think there was an over route. I think that was Flanagan Fowles that got caught. He didn't run with that over route by 3, and a lot of times that linebacker is responsible for that. But yeah, Alshire, solid, legit starting linebacker for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Why take? Yeah, I noticed this. And Juice isn't on the field as much as Kittle, but I really noticed that you have a 4th and 1 and George Kittle wasn't on the field. That was really odd, and maybe it was just it just sort of happened that way. And yeah, don't like it. Don't like that one bit.
When I saw them run off the field, I was like, okay, they're punting it, and then they're like, oh, 49ers offense still on the field, and I'm like, whoa, okay. I wasn't a fan of going for it on 4th and 1 right there. And again, I know the play call was like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
I try to look at things. Okay, so hold on. First, just in general, going forward on 4th and short against them. I watched them stuff the Washington football team several times on Monday Night Football. So I wasn't a fan of going forward on 4th and short, regardless, especially right there at that position on the field. Now, the play call, which definitely comes off as like, what the hell? You run read option with Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm assuming they thought, hey, everybody's just going to crash down because nobody's expecting Jimmy Garoppolo. That's just me trying to look at it from Kyle's perspective on why he would call that. Nobody's expecting Jimmy Garoppolo to keep. They're going to crash down. He's going to be able to get out there for 2 yards. I think they did it earlier in the year, and they picked up a few yards, and everybody was like, oh, genius. And now this time, Seattle's like, man, we're taking away everything. So I don't know. That's just me giving Kyle the benefit of the doubt and thinking maybe they were going to catch the team off guard. Because the Trey Lance comes in, he does that, right? If you're just thinking like, hey, we want to run read option to get the first down, everybody's more alert once you see Trey Lance back there. That's just how I'm seeing that right there.
Alex brings up something interesting, and I was curious to see, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think it's necessarily that much with Deebo as far as just leadership type stuff. And that's what worried me about losing Fred Warner for the 49ers. He's the guy that's, got the green dot on his helmet, and he's in charge. He's in the middle of that defense. And I was worried that would be more of a loss than what his statistical production actually is week to week. I thought they might be losing something else. And I didn't really feel that way. I thought they did okay. They were without one of their linebackers, and everybody else, filled in and played ball. So I thought that was big. But what do you think on the offensive side of the ball? Do you think not having Deebo out there was a huge loss for the 49ers, and maybe some intangibles they were missing aside from just his ability to run after the catch?
Yeah, it's hard to say because clearly he's not out there. But I have to wonder on that drop third down by Brandon Aiyuk. Like, if Deebo is in, is that Deebo? And he likely comes down with that. You know what I'm saying? So there's just certain scenarios where you maybe need a play and you got to make a play, and it goes unnoticed that the play wasn't made because he's not out there. But if he's there, just think of how many game-changing plays he makes out of nothing. I think that's the aspect you miss without having him. But I mean, George Kittle with his overall production more than made up for not having a Deebo Samuel out there.
Kenny says having Jimmy out there was the problem. How about this? What is Shanahan's fascination with Benjamin? He shouldn't be on the active roster. Well, yeah. I've been very critical of Kyle Shanahan and his roster moves in a lot of ways. I don't know why the 49ers don't have a better return guy after 5 years of putting this roster together, and Cannon's off the scrap heap and Benjamin's off the scrap heap, and then Cannon gets hurt. So Benjamin shouldn't even be back there on the kickoff return. He should have only been back there on the punt return. So that played into his fumble on the opening kickoff of the second half. But it's, I don't know. It's Shanahan has his favorites. He has his guys, and they're going to be on the roster, and that's just the way it is. But a lot of times, I don't know why Dante Johnson's still on the roster, but it was a good thing because he played better than Demo. Like, I thought Dante Johnson played really well when he came in the game tonight, and he's had some good games recently, actually, for the 49ers.
Yeah, and it's tough because we see the bad play from Travis Benjamin. He also had a nice punt return, and then I also saw Jermichael Hasty come in, and he had a good kickoff return where it was solid, and I was like, okay, like maybe he should be back there. I think after the fumble, I mean, really just after who's the original kick returner for the 49ers? It wasn't Cannon. Someone else.
Feels like game. Ages ago. Week 1 feels like an eternity ago now.
I'd have to look and see who that was. Try to look at the 49ers.
Richie James was on IR before the season started, right? Or he got released from IR. Is that what it was? Richie James, he should be available to come back pretty soon, right? What was his injury?
I couldn't even tell you.
Was Richie James on the roster in week 1?
I don't know.
Richie James. Mitchell. Did Mitchell return the opening kickoff to start?
Maybe. Let's see. No, Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas had 4 kickoff returns. But I don't know if he was the first guy, though. I don't think he was. I think it was Elijah Mitchell. But maybe the balls got kicked into the end zone, so he didn't actually have to return anything.
I will tell you right now. Ambry Thomas, I think, week 1. Yeah.
No, I'm saying I see him with 4 returns. But what I'm saying is, I don't know if he was the initial guy, like on the first one, because remember, Mostert got knocked out right away. On that opening kickoff return, was Ambry Thomas the guy that was back there?
He was the returner for the opening, because the Niners kicked to start the game to Detroit in week 1. To open the second half, Ambry Thomas did return that kickoff. Let's see, after.
But by then, Mostert was out and hurt.
So the first kickoff return was also Ambry Thomas. Yeah, it was after the Detroit touchdown in the first quarter. Okay. So Ambry Thomas was the original kickoff returner for the Niners to start the year. And he didn't do much with those opportunities.
Not at all. 17.5 yards per carry. I mean, per return. Not good.
6-6. We can't get our 6. Those refs keep effing us, go 49ers. I think Jacob's been hitting the bottle a little bit today. I've seen a lot of those in the chat. Some very frustrated 49ers fan. He says, can't get the sixth ring, I think is what he's talking about at 6-6. What do you think? Are the 49ers so flawed that even if they do make the playoffs with one of those wild card spots, which they still currently have, even after this loss right now at 6-6, can they do damage in January when they get into the tournament, Croc?
Well, not if they, do what they did today and give up a fake punt for a touchdown, give up a safety, fumble on kickoff return, throw multiple interceptions, fumble. If you play like that, no, you're not going to beat anybody. But you do look around the league, and a lot of teams are having these type of games that just look really weird. I don't think there's a dominant team in the NFL right now, at least not on the NFC side of the ball. I mean, outside of maybe you have Arizona, who they look good with Kyler Murray back out there. So maybe Arizona, but aside from them, just not that team that's like in the NFC that's like, oh man, this team is just hella good. I think you're going to lean on like a Tom Brady because you just saw them in the Super Bowl last year and they won it. But
oh, yeah, Simba Webster, somebody brought up. I forgot he existed for a little while in the 49ers roster before the Bears picked him up off waivers, right? Let's see. Why would we I saw this numerous times from Kate. He's fired up about this. Why would we run up the middle so much against a stout defense and stout D-line like stout D-line and Bobby Wagner? Why not go sideline to sideline and wear out their D? What do you think, Croc? Too many inside runs by the 49ers in this one.
I think Bobby Wagner, whether you run it inside or outside, he's going to be there. He's the sideline to sideline guy. I believe last game against Washington, Washington averaged like 3 yards a carry. They just ran the ball a ton of times. So I think that's a tough team to run on. That's kind of what I think I'm seeing.
Yeah, and the Seahawks play with a big defensive line. They've got bigger ends, and so it's not like they don't know what the 49ers are trying to do. They know they're going to stop the outside zone. So maybe they were overplaying that a little bit, and Kyle saw an opportunity to hit some creases inside. It's just tough because I think in a lot of ways it's a bad matchup for the 49ers against the Seahawks because they're one of the few teams that are set up to beat how the 49ers win and how the 49ers play. So I think that kind of plays into a lot of the frustrating games that the 49ers have against the Seahawks. And even when the Seahawks are down, and we've seen that, you got to throw the record out in this type of game. And it's why it's so frustrating going up against those Seattle Seahawks.
That's a tough loss.
Roughing the passer. I don't know. Were you upset about the roughing the passer stuff, Croc? I know that one fired up.
One was hella stupid.
Like that are going to fire up the crowd.
One was hella stupid, where the guy like jumped up and headbutted Russell Wilson. But the other one, it was like, come on, man. One was stupid though. It's like, bro, why'd you do that?
Yeah, it's like you can't do that.
Yeah.
What do you think? Cincinnati next week? Not going to be there.
Yeah, not going to be there. Obviously I like the 49ers chances. You can't have the mistakes they had. I mean, just that many. I mean, great. All those mistakes that we talked about and the flags not going in their favor, and they still had an opportunity to win. So I don't think this team is terrible. Maybe I'm being naive.
No, they're not terrible. They can beat anybody, but they've proven they can lose to anybody too. So which team shows up? They shot. You're not going to win very many football games shooting yourself in the foot as many times as the 49ers did tonight or today. But the Seahawks also shot themselves in the foot numerous times, and the 49ers couldn't take advantage. So
Right.
The Seahawks had no business winning this game. I think that's the most frustrating part of all this. Is like the Seahawks.
A lot of times the 49ers were really backed up though after their mistakes. You had the interception. Okay, you get the ball on the 3-yard line. Okay, you get the fumble. Okay, you get the ball on like the 2-yard line. I think that was tough.
Did Shanahan get too caught up trying to bleed clock rather than calling plays to score, or were the first and second down runs designed to score? I thought it was weird because I didn't know why after second down they called the immediate the immediate timeout, because if they scored, they would have left
Right.
time on the clock. If you're going to drain it down, it's 3rd and 4th and goal. You have 2 more plays, drain it down to 10 seconds, throw the ball in the end zone twice, right? If that's
I thought the clock management was good up until that point. So okay,
right.
you get to there's 30 seconds or whatever, 35 seconds. You call a play, you run the ball on first down. Okay, why call a timeout at 27 seconds just to run the ball again to kill a little bit more time? It didn't call a timeout right away again. I thought that was kind of weird. Why not bleed the clock a little bit? And I even looked at my son, right? When they called that timeout with 27 seconds left after first down, I looked at my son and I said, I would have let the clock run down to at least 20 seconds, then call the timeout from there. I don't know why he was so quick to pull the trigger on that timeout and then run the ball again to essentially kill clock when you could have bled it down to 20 seconds. And then now you got the whole playbook at your disposal. You run a play, 4 or 5 seconds is going to come off the clock anyways. Like, by that time, you're around 15 seconds. Russell Wilson, no matter how much magic he has, he ain't driving down the field in that much time because you would have to potentially run another play. So, yeah, I thought he kind of botched that last 30 seconds or so.
And you have the opportunity with the timeout to run a play that's short of the goal line because you have that timeout to get you ready for a 4th down play if you need it, if you do get caught short on 3rd down. So that was.
I will say, I think that I think Kyle kind of overthought something a little bit there. When he called that timeout on the 4th down play, he had trips to the left. They were in kind of like a bunch. And you had Aiyuk right open on the slant. They called the timeout. It killed the play, but Aiyuk was wide open right over the middle.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I was wondering what he saw there, or if he was maybe just kind of had a throwaway play call just because he wanted to see how Seattle was going to defend it, and then he didn't like how Seattle was defending it. But that was odd. That was an odd one.
This is what I think the play call was, and I have to look again and see. But a lot of times when they line up in that bunch, and we've seen it several times with Kyle Shanahan down in that area, and he maybe ran something like that with Trent Sherfield on the 4th down play, but he had that trips bunch left. All right. The outside guy, I'm assuming, was Aiyuk, but we'll see. He ran the slant. And if they were in man coverage, that threw off whatever their responsibilities were and how they were supposed to combo that. And he was wide open. And I do think that a lot of times what they do is they'll have a guy run out and then whip back in and settle down in that area too. So really, if you go from the slant, if that's not there, then you can go to the outside guy and throw a touchdown to him. But for whatever reason, yeah, Kyle didn't like what he saw.
We're almost to an hour. We got to get out of here and watch some of this Sunday Night Football as well, because I do have to cover that on the Peacock and Williamson NFL show. By the way, thanks for making us your first listen every day on Locked On 49ers. You can find me every day as well, covering the entire league with Matt Williamson, former ESPN scribe, former NFL scout. We're at the Peacock and Williamson NFL show. You can find Croc Daily Talking NFL Draft right here on the Locked On Podcast Network and the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. Here we go. Croc, when you play against the Pats, do you feel like it was hopeless? Does that play into games? I think Wilson is just our daddy. I hope they trade him and keep Pete.
No, so I was released. I was released by that time, but I mean, I sat in meetings like kind of like leading up to when the Jets played the Patriots, and Rex Ryan never made you feel like that. Like, he wasn't scared of anybody. He would actually beat Patriots sometimes. So I think some of it has to do with like your coach and the demeanor that he takes on. So like, I never got that vibe that, oh man, these people are scared of Tom Brady. I remember watching film. We're sitting in there and he's like, oh yeah, 12, blah, blah. Okay, you got 83. He expect this, that, that, what? Some of the things, and I said it earlier with Jimmy Garoppolo on the touchdown pass to George Kittle, where I was like, hey, good job by Jimmy Garoppolo, because typically he panics late in the play, right? He wants to get the ball out right now in rhythm. That's when Jimmy Garoppolo typically is at his best, but that was late and he kept his eyes downfield, threw the ball. I thought he was going to start panicking. He didn't throw a touchdown. Well, that's what they used to say about Tom Brady in our meetings, that Tom Brady wants to get the ball out right now in rhythm. He doesn't want to play late in downs, and that's when Tom Brady starts to get a little jittery. So that's one little nugget that they used to talk about early on. Now, obviously, it doesn't matter. Tom Brady's a GOAT, but yeah.
Yeah, and I could see there being a boogeyman syndrome for players who have continually lost to one guy or one team. I can see how that can kind of weigh on you a little bit, but I think if you're a good team, you're not scared of anybody. You're like, let's go beat them. Cool, let's play. I want to play the best. I want to go beat these guys. So, yeah, thanks everybody. All the kind words out there. Make sure you hit the subscribe button
Hit the like
And
button.
yeah, hit the like and hit the bell icon so you're notified when we do go live or when we post a new podcast. I appreciate everybody jumping in with us here post game. And we'll be back with you tomorrow, as we always are. We will be talking with Nick Winkler again this week. We'll be looking ahead to the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll be hashing out everything we see from the second view of this game and all the post-game pressers and everything else going on with the 49ers. We always cover, and we'll take a look at, I think we've got to recalibrate, Croc, because I'd guessed it would take 10 wins to get into the playoffs in the NFC. I don't think it's going to take 10 wins anymore to get into the playoffs. So I think we're going to have to take another look at the playoff picture here now after week 13, because I think it's an easier path, luckily, for the 49ers into the playoffs in 2021. All right. Thanks, everybody, for jumping on. I see everybody. Love it. Niners going to win next week. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, guys. The Niners going to get back on track. This team is pretty good. Sometimes this happens, and it's the Seahawks. It's the Seahawks, and you're not going to shoot yourself in the foot like this every single week, and they can't. You're not going to have fake punts for touchdowns every week. That is just such a rarity. You're not going to have safeties every week. Come on. I think the 49ers in some ways got pretty unlucky, but they did a lot to themselves as well. And Croc and I, even when they play bad, when they play good, we'll be talking you through it every single day. So thanks again, everybody, for jumping on with us. We'll be back tomorrow right here. Locked